On workshop session earlier today. Please rise for invocation by Councilmember Stahl, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please pray with me. It is right to recognize how different we are. Our talents, our dreams, our backgrounds, our occupations, our religions, our politics. In our differences, we can think the same thoughts and move together toward a common goal and creating a Greenville the next generation will be proud of. As we gather here today, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community. We stay focused on the objectives we have for the world: peace, tranquility, freedom from hunger, from oppression, from sickness, and inequality. Let us continue to strive to make the world a better place and a better Greenville, and we pray that you will give us wisdom and discernment as we make decisions for our future. In the name of the God we acknowledge and honor. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember John DeWorke.
Here.
Councilmember Lillian Fleming. Councilmember Ken Gibson.
Here.
Councilmember Will Brazington.
Here.
Hey, Will.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We hear you. Councilmember Russell Stahl.
Here.
Councilmember Dorothy Dow. Here. Mayor Knox White.
Here. You have two sets of, a set of minutes before you, May 24th and June 7th, which will be approved as submitted unless there are any objections. If not, they are so approved. We have one person who's on the list for signing up to speak, Lynn Brown. I think we have a 3-minute clock somewhere. Where's that clock? Is it facing the other way?
They've got it up
They
here.
got it up good.
I mean, I don't know
Okay.
if you
Thank you.
have one.
If you give your address and,
Yes,
thank you.
307 Bloomfield Lane, Greer, South Carolina, 29650.
Okay.
So I would like to speak regarding the statues. I know that the money has been moved to go towards Artisphere. I understand that Artisphere is funded by, it's put on by the Metropolitan Arts Council, and you, Mayor, are on the board of that. I see that as a conflict of interest at best. And I would like to know how we can know where that money ends up going, the 7,500. I also would like to say that we were told last time that our money, if we didn't live in the city, was not going towards that. But I have, in fact, looked up if we do business within the city, like dining out or whatever, that's falls under the tourism tax. And a tourist is defined as a person who does not reside in, but rather enters temporarily for reasons of recreation or leisure. The jurisdictional boundaries of a municipality for a municipal project for the immediate area of the project for county project. So when I visit the city, I am paying tourism tax. And so my tax dollars are going for the statues. I still would like them removed. I feel like they're inappropriate, and I do not feel like you had the voice of the people. And I also am wondering where all these voices that I keep hearing about, where it's been said several times that the voices of the people decided that the statues would come here, but I have yet to hear anybody speak in favor of the statues. I've only heard people say that we would like the removal of them. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. We have the consent agenda is before you tonight. Do you have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Clerk call the roll. Consent agenda.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. The regular agenda, 15A.
An ordinance to enter into a lease agreement with Rebuild Upstate for property located at 601 Green Avenue.
Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion second.
Second.
Clerk call the roll. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke,
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson,
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington,
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl,
Aye.
Councilmember Dow,
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. 15B.
An ordinance approving a legal settlement with SJC Properties LLC and appropriating the sum of $275,000 for that purpose.
Move to approve.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, motion second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke,
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson,
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington,
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl,
Aye.
Councilmember Dow,
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. 15C.
An ordinance to amend the sections listed public and institutional uses, commercial uses, service and industrial uses, and tables of uses from the Code of Ordinances to modify use-specific standards after midnight.
Let me have the motion and I'll.
So
let
moved.
Jay talk. Motion and second. Jay, you got a comment you want to make on?
Staff is available for any questions you might
Okay.
have. This is
All
a
right.
follow-up to the noise ordinance issues that we've dealt with in the past, and this just cleans up what's in Chapter 19
Right.
relative
Right.
to waste.
Mr. Mayor, there is a reference in here that I'd like to make an amendment to.
Oh, yeah?
I move to amend the
Oh, that's where
ordinance.
That's where that would go.
Yeah, it's in
Okay.
two places. It's actually on two
Oh,
tonight.
okay.
So I move to amend this ordinance to strike all references to 6 a.m. and replace with 7 a.m. It's in Exhibit A, Section A, Item 2, parentheses C.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor of that amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. It's amended. All right. Okay, ready for a roll call vote on the ordinance as amended?
Yes, sir.
Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke,
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson,
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington,
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl,
Aye.
Councilmember Dow,
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. Thank you. 15D.
An ordinance to amend the section given for non-residential design standards of the Code of Ordinances to modify outdoor dining orientation and other outdoor activity standards for non-residential uses and multifamily uses adjacent to the detached single-family residential uses, Z11.
Okay, is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion on that? Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke,
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson,
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington,
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl,
Aye.
Councilmember Dow,
Aye.
Mayor White.
15E.
An ordinance to amend the sections given for non-residential design standards and multifamily design standards of the Code of Ordinances to modify refuse collection standards for non-residential uses and multifamily uses adjacent to detached single-family residential uses, Z12.
Move to approve.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion on that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make the same motion for an amendment to amend this ordinance to strike all references to 6 a.m. and replace with 7 a.m. This appears in several places in this one.
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The item 15E as amended, roll call vote.
Councilmember DeWorke,
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson,
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington,
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl,
Aye.
Councilmember Dow,
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. 15F.
An ordinance to amend the sections given for definitions, use-specific standards, exterior lighting, sign regulations, multifamily design standards of the Code of Ordinances to modify exterior lighting standards for non-residential uses and multifamily uses adjacent to detached single-family residential uses.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke,
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson,
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington,
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl,
Aye.
Councilmember Dow,
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. 15G.
An ordinance to amend sections 11 definitions and code given certificate of conformity of the Code of Ordinances to modify certificate of compliance standards for non-residential uses and multifamily uses adjacent to the detached single-family residential uses, Z14.
Okay. A motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson. Councilmember Brazington.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. 15H.
An ordinance to amend the sections given for definitions, commercial uses, landscaping requirements, buffering and screening requirements, non-residential design standards, multifamily design standards, and the table and figures of the Code of Ordinances to modify buffer and screening standards for non-residential uses and multifamily uses adjacent to detached single-family residential uses.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
may I, during the period of discussion, may I raise a question or two to see if Jay might be able to help with this?
Okay.
Thank you. Am I coming through okay volume wise?
You are. Yeah, you are.
Good. Hey, Jay, just a question primarily for clarification, but I want to make sure I'm following what the language contained within this particular one would call for. Talking about section D, where it refers to administrator capabilities to review and offer discretion at potential exemptions for this. Within the buffer depth, the 10 feet depth referenced here, Jay, what role would any existing structures or pre-existing, buildings, what impact would that have in this particular portion of the proposed ordinance?
So we answer these questions on a case-by-case basis because it gets into existing conditions. So there's non-compliant conditions. We would have to take it on a case-by-case and evaluate the exact impact that it would have. And that's why we put that language in there for the administrator, because there are items that come up that I can't necessarily articulate at this point, but it is an opportunity for us to work with them on that. Does that?
But suffice to say, in instances in the future where there are existing buildings or structure within that buffer, they're allowed for, included, they're eligible for that type of administrative review and potential exemption where warranted appropriate?
That's correct.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. 15I.
An ordinance to amend the sections given involving definitions, measurements, non-residential design standards of multifamily residential development, and tables of the Code of Ordinances to modify maximum building height standards for non-residential uses and multifamily uses adjacent to detached single-family residential uses, Z16.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second? Motion second. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. J. 15J.
An ordinance to amend the sections given of the definitions and tables of the Code of Ordinances to modify dimensional standards as related to impervious lot coverage standards for non-residential use and multifamily uses adjacent to detached single-family residential uses, Z17.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Motion second.
Second.
Any other questions about this one? Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. 15K.
An ordinance to amend the tables and sections with the codes given, non-residential design standards, and multifamily family design standards of the Code of Ordinances to modify minimum setback standards for non-residential uses and multifamily uses adjacent to detached single-family residential uses, Z18.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any further questions on this one? Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson. Councilmember Brazington.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. 15L.
An ordinance to amend certain portions of the Unity Park Neighborhood District Code to remove maximum lot width and depth requirements and to provide for development flexibility incentives for affordable housing,
So moved.
Z19.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. 15M.
An ordinance to amend the section given alternative equivalent compliance of the Code of Ordinances to modify alternative equivalent compliance standards for non-residential uses and multifamily uses adjacent to the attached single-family residential uses, Z20.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. And 15N.
An ordinance to appropriate $1,006,012 in the general fund for the land management ordinance revision contract.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. Has there been other discussion on this before? Okay. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson. Councilmember Brazington.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye.
Actually, I do have a question if that's
Sure.
good. Shannon, would you give us a quick outline of timing of this?
Yes, sir. So with your approval, once this passes second reading, if it does, at your next council meeting, the idea is to be under contract before the end of the fiscal year on June 30th. We would begin work mid-July with public outreach sessions to begin within 90 days once we start contract. And that's kind of where we are at this moment. But we're ready to go once we have your authorization and approval.
Game on.
Okay, we have some new business, 16A, first and final reading.
A resolution to approve the conversion of Burdette Street into a one-way street from Mason Street to Pendleton Street.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Anyone who want to speak to this? Mary Douglas?
Mayor and members of council, this is the conversion of Burdette Street that runs right behind the Flatiron Building in the village of West Greenville. And it is a city road, and we are converting it over to a one-way, the section between Mason Street and Pendleton Street. We've coordinated with SCDOT as well as the surrounding property owners and potential property owners. So we have done a lot of outreach.
And the property owners are all in favor of it?
Yes, we did a large mailing, and we've also talked to the property owners in the area.
Mayor Douglas, was there any voiced opposition?
No, there was not.
I thought Councilman Brazington may have something to say about one-way streets. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Manager, do you have anything you want to add?
Couple items, Mayor. Want to recognize the Greenville Police Department for their Field of Cruisers event that was held at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena on June 8th to benefit the Community Partner Project Host. Those donations will help our residents that are facing food insecurity. So Chief says that was a good event. Helpful. On the parks side, Good news for the pickleball players. We've got support from Bob Jones University to allow Monday through Thursday, beginning today from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., running through August the 20th, to allow Greenville residents to use their pickleball courts. The Bobby Kearse Community Center project continues to move along. We're close. I think we've got a temporary CO. If we didn't get it, it's coming. The parking lot's paved, carpet's been installed, cabinets are installed, and I think the final walkthrough will be happening any moment. Timmons Park, we've been out there. It's a demolition in progress. Court fencing will be removed by the end of the week. And the playground equipment installation started on June the 2nd and will be completed by the end of the month. So that's moving along. Good news, the Greenville Heritage Main Street Fridays released its music lineup for the season. The series will feature a diverse lineup of performances with genres ranging from rock and roll to Motown to Latin jazz. And that will start on July the 9th and run through September the 24th. So I know people are excited to be able to get back out to Main Street Fridays. Great event there. West End Small Area Plan continues to proceed forward. The city and UDA will host a drop-in meeting at Floor Field on June the 22nd at 5 p.m. for those residents interested in coming out and learning more and providing additional community feedback related to the West End Small Area Plan. Unity Park construction continues on the new parallel Swamp Rabbit Trail. This week and next, concrete will be poured to complete the final segment connecting the trail to Hudson Street. They'll clean it up and finishing touches will get underway, and we prepare to open the trail segment to the public the week of July the 9th. So that'll be great. The first of 3 bridges is in the final stages of completion at the Bridge Brothers facility in Pickens. The 70-foot bridge is confirmed to arrive on June 16th, but will not be operational until the trail connection is made in July. So that's good progress there. And if you've had a chance to go out and walk through the visitor center, the work's ongoing. Tile installation in the restrooms, the kitchen is going in with the cabinets and countertops. And that visitor center will be completed and open during the grand opening, which we anticipate to be in the spring of 2022. As far as some of our larger projects underway right now, Augusta Street Traffic and Safety coordination meeting with the SCDOT was held on June the 4th to discuss options for addressing vehicular and pedestrian safety. The DOT completed the speed study, and our city traffic engineering has updated and replaced some of the radar feedback signs out there. Also want to announce tonight that the city of Greenville will host a community meeting on Tuesday, June 29th with SCDOT and state representatives for Augusta Street and Pleasant Valley area residents. The listening session is an opportunity for neighbors to ask questions and provide feedback on lasting solutions to decades-old problems involving traffic and pedestrian safety. The meeting is scheduled to be held from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., and we should have a location nailed down sometime this week. So we'll get that out to you as soon as we have that information. I'll also share that our traffic enforcement team has been out working hard in that area, and I believe in one day, Chief told me last week, 22 citations were issued, as well as 21 warnings on that Augusta Road segment. That's all I have for this evening. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the manager?
No.
Beyond that? All righty.
Mr. Mayor, I had just one thing I wanted to mention. Time's appropriate now.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone had a chance to watch. We got some recognition. Greenville City got some really great recognition this weekend, this time by folks right here in South Carolina. If you watched the PGA tournament at the Congaree, it was the Palmetto at Congaree this weekend. The South Carolina PRT department with Discover SC puts out a commercial. It aired through the whole tournament, and I'm very proud to say that Greenville City was one of the cities and locations featured in the commercial. Darius Rucker did the commercial, and I will just say, from someone who's been involved in what I've done for a living for a long time,
We've had, I would say there was a time when everything above I-20 was largely ignored when it came to tourism, and not so much anymore. So very, very proud to see us on an international stage on those commercials. So well done, all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this weekend in downtown Greenville, as every weekend, the downtown was absolutely slammed with people. Falls Park was, I've never seen so many people in Falls Park in almost my whole life, end to end. I'm sure there's tourism from the Atlanta area and everywhere else, but also locals enjoying Falls Park and enjoying downtown Greenville. It was absolutely amazing this weekend. We do have added responsibilities with that. The chief knows in terms of dealing with the crowds of people and making sure everyone is safe throughout their experience. But good it got recognized by the state of South Carolina in that commercial, deservedly so.
Mr. Mayor, I would hate for us to leave without adding kudos to our GPD and all our people were involved in the visit today from Vice President Kamala Harris. It really was a remarkable event, very smooth, very secure, and I know we didn't have a lot of advance notice of what would be required, so everybody was really on their toes, and I just was really proud to be part of that hosting and commend all of y'all for all you did. It was really well done.
Good message on vaccination.
Yes.
And
Councilmember
need to be
Fleming
heard.
is there vaccinating right now at an event. Yeah, she's,
especially in neighborhoods around town.
yeah, she's a real
And,
champion of
and
that.
so we let this day go by without thanking the planning department and the planning commission. This is a big day in passing these text amendments. And it took a lot of staff work. If y'all remember a few months ago, we were a divided council on whether or not to do a moratorium, and brilliantly, staff came up with a wonderful compromise of something that accomplishes what I think the moratorium would have accomplished. So thank you for all the work y'all put in. It's not acknowledged.
I am going to respectfully disagree with accomplishing the same thing the moratorium would have accomplished. I support the moratorium, still support the moratorium. But I do agree that this is a big step and will provide a substantial amount of protection to single-family residential neighborhoods in our community. So
Yeah,
thank you for your effort. I know it's a ton of work. I appreciate it.
And more to come.
I echo that of Councilmember Gibson. You know, we obviously had the same thoughts on that one, and I know this was some really heavy lifting for y'all and very fast paced. And I just reiterate my thanks to y'all and to the Planning Commission. One more month to go.
Yeah, one more month. Okay, thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Always, brother.